know why I answer first, but I think that there are certain things that you don't know why you like chicken rice and you don't like nut rice sometimes, or you like apples and you don't like oranges. So I think that for me is that it just comes clearer and clearer to me that there are certain images that you really like, and there are certain position you like to look at certain things. So even like Solitary Moon, even though it's a very coincident, accidental film, but I know that I've always been drawn to these kind of images where, you know, sometimes in the darkness, you just see one solitary light. And it just gives you such a space for imagination. Like who is living there, like, you know, how they deal with their loneliness, and why just a simple light in the black darkness, it can create a poetic sense, how that it create an aesthetic sense to you in a personal way. So I was really attracted to these kind of things that even like 10 years ago, but you're not conscious. But then one time, maybe you have gathered enough of such images, then you think that when you look at them in a collective way, you feel that you can create something out of it. So that is my approach. And also because it also, after you make a work, the work can be a mirror or a reflection of what you like and what you're trying to deal with. For example, I'm always interested in the theme about identity, because I feel that contemporary man has lost his identity. We're just very one-dimensional and we're such faceless now. So it always gave me a position where I always look at them from an outsider point of view. And it has been quite a consistent theme that I've been researching or finding out through my short film, student films, and even in my future projects.
I just wanted to pick up on something you said earlier about how at a certain point everything just comes together and you just do it. And I think I really like that approach, and I think we should always give in to those impulses and instincts. I have to say that Snow City was also born out of that instinct of, at some point in your life, all the different jigsaw puzzles, things that you've been thinking about, just coalesce and become something. The footage in Snow City has been swirling around my head for a very long time. I have to say that Invisible City, which was made in 2007, was actually started out with Snow City, that kind of images. But at some point, people got involved, so it became a documentary of a totally different sort of documentary. But that whereas Invisible City was about impulse for people to document, collect, and memorialize, I think Snow City was actually a lighter, more personal version of that. Here I am going around Singapore, collecting, memorializing different, actually I would say the most for me the image is actually only meaningful to myself. But I have a whole archive of this kind of images, you know, a balloon going up, a balloon coming down, someone washing a lorry, a polar bear swimming left, polar bear swimming right, polar bear swimming left again. So those images just in my daily life just swirl around my head. So one day, because of a deadline, everything came together, and that was that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess in a way, what you put together so meaningful to yourself. I don't. It doesn't quite smack of like a certain self-indulgence. There's a very thin line. You know, there's something still that draws us into seeing the polar bear swimming left and right, or balloons going up and down, the most mundane thing. But I think it speaks to your, I think, artistic acumen to, as I said earlier, to where do you put the camera, you know, how long the duration of the shots. And,
I mean, the most wonderful thing is when it connects with someone in the audience. For something so personal, you know, which you don't feel has any relevance but to yourself. And then when you show it, and then someone actually comes up to say, I don't know what you're getting at, or hey, I really like this. And then we're like, oh, okay, that connection is made. So I think that's actually a very, very magical moment for any one of us where connection is made. And I think I always strive for that connection, because when a film is born and it's released to the world, you never really know how it's going to be received. And I suppose it gives the wonderful thing about short films is that you don't have all the investors and all your commissioners barking at you, forcing you to turn it in a certain way so that it's more attractive, for instance. So it gives you a chance to sort of relax a bit and be yourself.
For myself, I take it as a challenge to be as honest as possible with whatever I do. So even through filmmaking, throughout this whole documentary, I didn't want to push it to either side of the fence. I just wanted the story to just flow as it is. Yeah, in all my works that I always, maybe because of my dad, he always told me to be honest all the time. So it resides in me, and every single time I do a piece, it's always as honest as I can. And I take it upon myself to document something very mundane and try to turn it to something different, something more interesting. Yeah, that's my approach to basically everything that I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
See what you do after comfort.
Yeah, we'll see what I do after comfort. Bus driver.
Okay. Okay, actually, Pete, just now it's interesting that you compare this short film without any baggage of commercial interest, investors begging down on you and everything. And I know both Eva and Pin, I mean, you have to make a living too, right? So, surviving on commercial works and all this and that. Maybe you can share with us what's the difference? Although it could appear obvious, but maybe to hear from you of the commercial, you've been to both parts. You've done things, where whether the TV station wanted certain things and all that just thing, and something that is a happy accident or something you make it for yourself. So how do you negotiate this in Singapore, like currently working as a filmmaker?
I'm always the first one to answer. I think it's pretty clear. I mean, if you're doing for money, you have a boss. If you're not doing for money, I myself am the boss. Yeah. So if I don't do it for money, I do it for myself. But if you're doing to serve someone, then you know what is the best to give to the client.
So you were actually.
But then there are always, like, once in a while there'll be interesting projects, like Old Places that I did with Victric and Royston. So it's a documentary. I mean, it was commissioned by Auto Channel, but the thing is, because three of us are filmmakers, that's why we we can communicate very well, and we also achieve certain cinematic aesthetics that we want. So that's why that actually such project actually go further beyond what we expected. And now we are working on the sequel in part 2. So it's most important part is that the people that you meet, whether it's like-minded or not. So that's why how you can go further from there.
What are the out of 5? How many projects are something that you can engage your own artistic acumen in, than to actually serve this commercial purposes? How do you see that?
I'm not quite sure why you're going with this line of questioning. Yeah, because in the sense that they feed off each other. Yeah.
More like it's not definitive things, but through your own experience, what maybe challenges that you face?
I suppose the only thing I would say is I personally need to remind myself to save some space for that personal voice to be protected. So it's a question of pacing oneself. and also pacing projects. Actually, not just film, but whatever you do, sometimes you just have to remember to sort of ring fence a certain space in your heart and in your mind to give voice to that side of you. I mean, if it's important, I mean, for me it is. That's why I'm a filmmaker, to actually protect that voice from too much noise or too many other activities.
Okay. Actually, I guess I'm going that way is because both of you have been making films, short films, specifically, for a number of years in Singapore. So, I would like to find out how do you juggle this.
It's not easy, right? I mean, it's a very fine balance, and I'm just lucky that after all these years I'm still able to do it, and I certainly don't take that for granted. But it's not without balancing and weighing projects, choosing the project so that you have a bit of yourself left. I mean, some people teach, some people write, some people do all kinds of other things, but somehow walking a tightrope, and it's not just for filmmakers, I mean whether artists or any other kind of passion that isn't, you're not an office worker.
Maybe now it'd be good to throw a question out the office.